This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
What up, everybody? Welcome into Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Big 2 hours on tap. What's going on?
Nothing. I feel like I'm showing a little too much skin today. A little sensitive about my outfit today. You called me ugly earlier, so I'm feeling a little self-conscious, but feeling good that you're back.
Add that to the list of things that never happened, and I don't believe you at all that you're happy I'm back. What I will say, though, about you saying you're self-conscious about showing some skin, not true at all, because right before we came on the air, you were like rolling up your arms because you were talking about how much you had been getting a pump on that your forearms were really starting to take shape.
I was debating whether or not I should roll up my sleeves, and then I got shy immediately when I saw my fleshy white skin, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then it did lead into a conversation about the vascularness of my forearms and the fact that we're getting these pumps on. Let's go.
This is
lifted, baby.
You can tell it's starting to get warmer in Las Vegas because this is maybe the first time on television that I have not worn long sleeves or a turtleneck in like a year.
You gonna flex? You've been doing yoga.
I have no muscles. I don't do the pump.
You've been doing yoga.
Yeah, but I'm more with the balance and flexibility than I am the actual core strength.
Come on, show them one time.
Let's not get too crazy. Although I'm
Look
just
at that tricep. Look at that, man. See? Pull it back immediately.
That's completely non-existent, mind you. But yes, I am happy to be back. It was really, really fun last night. Although, obviously, making the trip back here from Denver last night, I would have preferred the game maybe not to go to overtime. The broadcast last night, though, for Kings and Avs was a ton of fun. It was a really close one. Scoreless until there was about 7 minutes left in the game, and then we get 2 goals within a couple minutes of each other to force overtime. We had the really weird kind of viral moment that I'm sure you and a lot of other people saw of after the Quentin Byfield penalty shot attempt on Scott Wedgwood. He makes the stop, and Avs fans go completely nuts to the point where the Colorado fans that are behind the LA Kings bench ended up shattering a pane of glass behind the bench, went all the way down their interim head coach DJ Smith's back. They had to clear the benches. It's like an 18-minute delay in all where everybody was out on the ice and the coaches went back into the tunnel. They were doing everything they could to clean it all up. So it was a weird game for a lot of reasons yesterday, but fun to be out there. And we'll get to plenty of hockey throughout the course of the day today.
You did some capital J journalism during that moment, did you not?
Which I want to say, if anyone listening right now was at the game and I came through your aisle, I am so sorry. I was like going over different parts of the stands. I'm walking over small children. I'm nudging old ladies. Like, I am so sorry if I bumped you or if I made you spill your beer a little bit or anything, but I appreciate you letting me get through to tell the story.
There you go. Good job. They dealt with it.
Got
they're
to play reporter a little bit.
Yeah, they're fine. They were all happy too, right? Yeah, the result was what they wanted.
Yes, exactly. And we'll talk about that too a little bit later on. My feelings in general on how this series has started for Colorado. Yes, they're up 2 games to none, but what we think about their game, what we think about the Kings now going back to home ice for them as well, should be fun. That said, we have a lot to get to. So let's set the table like we always do. Time to hit it with the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is The Rundown.
So we've got a couple of great draft guests on deck, with us being a little over 24 hours away from getting this thing going in Pittsburgh tomorrow. It creeped up fast. Charlotte Carroll of The Athletic is going to join us, talk through the Giants situation. Obviously, 2 picks in the top 10 for them. Tron Davenport also coming up an hour or 2 from the Titans side. They pick at 4. And hopefully an update on Cam Ward as well, who injured his shoulder in January, his expectations for offseason workouts. Lots of good stuff.
Yes, and then, of course, the ever-growing saga for the 2nd overall pick and what's going to happen there, as the betting market has been all over the place due to some fake information, lies, just outright wrong information about what's happening with what the Jets want to do there at that 2nd overall selection. So it's been a whirlwind, and it continues to move back and forth even as we speak right now.
We'll sift through some of the more respected mocks. Obviously, if you've been listening to the network or you get Bill Ady's daily newsletter, you know Matt Humans has his mock draft and some of his bets out and available as well. So we'll hit on a lot of that. We also, like I mentioned already, we'll talk plenty of hockey and close games, a little bit of a theme here. We'll talk through some series prices, the 3-game slate we have coming up today, JVT, but 13 games already in this early going that have been decided by either a single goal or the 2-goal separation that was based on an empty netter. So we've seen a lot of tight play here early in the playoffs.
The sport in which you can only score 1 point at a time has some tight margins, huh?
And yet we have a 17-point spread
yes, we
today.
Do. And I think you might want to lay it in the NBA. So we'll say, I would assume that one of the games that you don't want to be tight happens today, 4 p.m. puck drop, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, as the Flyers can take a 3-0 series lead as they head back home with that 2-0 series lead over Pittsburgh. So the last one what was the last score? Was it 3-0?
Yeah, shutout.
There you go. Come on now.
Let's
they
go.
Can get it done. Although I'll have something to say about that game.
Okay.
The numbers might
I'm
have
intrigued.
a different tale to tell.
Well, I'm curious what the tale told when it came to what we saw in the NBA last night. And that's where we're going to get going. It was a day for the dogs. 2 double-digit underdogs ended up getting the win outright. And the Lakers, as a 5.5-point dog, go up now 2-0 against the Rockets. Even with KD back on the court yesterday, LeBron and the underdog Lakers get it done after they were, we know all of the odds movement that we saw on this team. Big picture, Western Conference to win an NBA title, how much they were. When you looked at the numbers, you felt like there was a separation in the series price as well. Although people were betting LA, and they're probably pretty happy with how this has started. Yeah,
look, JJ Redick said this after the game yesterday, and I don't think there was that many people that are really buying in big picture the Lakers, but he said something to the effect of, now, people think that we can get this done, this being maybe competing in the Western Conference. I don't think this is what this is about. This is about the Houston Rockets. This is about their failings as a team. This is about a Rockets team that, as we knew coming into this series, had a lot of issues with their half-court offense. And again, they have been showing their ugly head. Houston yesterday in the half court, an offensive rating of 74, abysmal. Again, for context, the last place team in half court offensive efficiency was the Brooklyn Nets in the regular season. It was 91.6, their offensive rating. So nearly 20 points worse than the last place team in the regular season in that statistical category. To give you an idea of how bad they were against the Lakers' set defense, the Lakers deserve credit. LeBron deserves a ton of credit. We can get to their shooting and the way that they were able to operate on offense to an extent as well. But this Rockets team has a ton of questions that they have to answer. So let's start with Kevin Durant, because I thought that this game was a mirror image of the one they played in Houston near the end of the regular season. If you remember, Houston comes down in that stretch in a tight game against the Lakers, completely falls apart. In that fourth quarter alone, I believe Durant has 6 turnovers. They're sending doubles at him. He has no idea what to do, Stormy. They did it again last night, and Kevin Durant was essentially asked, why aren't you able to figure out these double teams? Here's what he had to say.
They start doubling me from possession 1, man. I think I got to be better at not putting my teammates in bad positions when I swing that ball. Sometimes I could beat the double, get downhill, make the shot a little easier for them. Shoot the ball. When two to three people on me, I shoot the ball, we can get offensive rebound. So I'm trying to make passes. I'm trying to make the correct, swing the ball sometimes, but I feel like I got to shoot more of those and put my teammates in better position.
They can't handle this. It is so weird to see him as a player at his caliber be unable to shoot the way, or excuse me, be able to handle the just simple fact of getting a double team thrown at him. And they're doing it in different ways. They're sending it late. They're doing all sorts of different stuff with the doubles, but it doesn't matter. It is a concept which you should be able to work through. And that has clearly been bothering Kevin Durant when he's been out there. He obviously missed the first game. And I don't know why we would think now that they're going to be able to figure this out as the series goes along down 2-0.
Yeah, lots of errant passes, 9 turnovers for him in the game. And after what was actually a pretty decent first half, for it to just really dissipate and fall apart in the second half. Worth noting, entering this postseason, and we know, of course, on the Lakers side, no Luka Doncic, no Austin Reeves, although the Shams Charania report yesterday that Reeves is actually closer than Doncic did surprise me a little bit. But entering this postseason, JVT, there had only been 7 playoff games in NBA history that a team played without multiple players averaging 20-plus in a season. The team that missed its 2 starters went 1-6 previously, and now the Lakers are 2-0 in that same situation. Yep. So they have been awesome, despite not having 2 of their key stars that, can contribute 60 points in all when you look at it this way. We'll talk more NBA in a bit. I do want to real quickly, JVT, before we get out of here, update a couple MLB scores, and we do have a game that's coming up in just a couple of minutes. But right now, 3 games in action. The Marlins up 4-0 on the Cardinals. Rays with a 4-0 advantage as well on the Reds. Astros up 2-0 on the Guardians, top of 4 there. But Orioles Royals about to get set for us here in the next couple minutes. Chris Bassett and Michael Wacha on their respective hills. Series split so far. Orioles took game 1 in extras on Monday. Royals bounced back yesterday to snap what was an 8-game skid. Garcia scored on a wild pitch. What do you think? Anything stand out to you here?
I mean, what stands out is, are the Royals going to start to figure this out on offense? They got booed the other day by their home fans, and rightfully so. And I think it was Bobby Witt who said, yeah, like, we're not scoring. There's a reason why. And if you're going to wake up at some point, Bassett might be the guy to do it against. In his 4 starts, a 6.19 ERA, 5.70 fielding independent, a dude that's definitely worth playing against. And I think that you could probably bank on Wacha continuing to do what he has done over the course of 4 starts. Pretty tight across the board in terms of the underlying metrics. Now, he's due for some regression. He's got a 1 flat ERA through 4 starts. Fielding independence at 340, but still, that's a above average rate for a fielding independent. So even if he regresses to the mean, you're regressing from untouchable to a pretty good guy. And one of the things he's gotten lucky on is balls in play, a 172, 173 batting average on balls in play. That's going to come back, but command has been right in line with where he's been last year. Strikeout rate's been right in line with where he's been out throughout his entire career. I think what you see is what you get with Wacha, and you can expect that he is going to be at least in a position, or the Royals, I should say, are going to be in a position to get this done here against Baltimore. So to me, it would be Orioles or nothing here in this spot against them.
And
Royals against them, yes.
They just sound kind of similar. They are a minus 130 money line favorite in this spot to win the series. Run total 9.5, although you're seeing that juice light up on the board as we near first pitch here. Currently minus 119 on the under. I was looking at some of the Royals relievers numbers during this stretch where they've been struggling. 6 losses over the losing streak, 6 home runs given up, 7.71 ERA. So even if your starter does what you want him to do, they haven't been able to back him up very well.
We brought this up with Adam yesterday. Bullpens have been pretty volatile, whether it's due to poor play or injuries or everything in between. Excuse me. A lot of these bullpens have been freaking out. So you want to whittle it down. You want to go first 5 potentially and just whittle it down to these starting pitchers. But you land about $145, $160, depending on where you look.
Okay, we're just getting started here on Money Moves. When we come back to the NBA, we've got 2 more playoff games to preview tonight and still a look back at last night. What's going on with Victor Wembanyama? Spurs lose more than just the game last night.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves, as the NHL and NBA postseasons are both officially here. It's one of the best stretches on the sports betting calendar each and every year. And if you're betting right now, having the right information makes all the difference. Sign up for our spring special. Get full access to everything we do here at the network through August 1st for a one-time payment of just $59. That takes you through the NBA and NHL Finals, World Cup, the Kentucky Derby, U.S. Open, Wimbledon, and a whole lot more. Sign up today and get instant access to all of our daily best bets, real-time betting splits from both DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools, 24/7 video and replays on the VSiN Watch app, and more, all at just $59. That's 50% off the regular monthly price. Visit vsin.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, and I couldn't help but hear the,
No, it was
what
a good
was
one.
that about?
It was a sign of beauty.
Okay.
So if you remember, one of the player props that we have for the series is
Which
Josh
series?
Hart
Okay.
to lead the series in rebounds. And he has a pretty solid lead through a couple of games. He is the minus 330 favorite now. So we've got him at 30-1. He is the minus 330 favorite to lead the series in rebounds. And that was just one of those, it's beautiful. Because I was just checking we're about to bring something else up, but I wanted to see what the adjusted series price would be here for him to lead it. So, let's go. Good job, Josh Hart.
The Knicks, by the way, minus 185 series favorites where things sit right now. Hawks plus 155. But let's go back real quickly to our Rockets-Lakers conversation. Because following what was, fair to say, an abysmal shooting performance from deep.
Unless you got another synonym, yeah.
24%, not good. And Ime Udoka was asked after the game about, hey, with some of these struggles, would you maybe want to put in Reed Shepherd? Here's how this conversation and interaction with a media member went.
You talk about the missing the open threes in the second half. Reed only played 10 minutes. Was there any consideration of giving him some more playing time, especially late when you guys needed those buckets?
No, I think we were guarding well enough, and with the unit that we had in, we went small and switched a lot of the action. So stay with that. And like I said, holding them to 1-on-1 is good enough. We just didn't score.
So how do you score? Maybe you put Reed Shepherd in to allow your offense to operate. So the reason why, and this ties into what we just brought up with Josh Hart, because Reed Shepherd was the even money favorite to lead the series in three-point makes. After game one, he was tied, with Luke Kennard. They both had 5 makes each. Now, Shepherd went 5 of 12, if I remember correctly, and maybe a few more attempts, and then Kennard had gone 5 for 5. He goes 0 for 3 yesterday. He only plays 11 minutes. And when we had brought this topic up, one of my thoughts was, there's a chance that Ime Udoka just kind of hates Reed Shepherd, doesn't want him to play because he's so focused on their defense, and that he eventually gets benched at some point.
Did that cement that for you?
Game 2, here we are. And this isn't so much a, hey, I was right. It's more of a, Ime Udoka has to understand that there are 2 sides to a basketball court and not just one. And so he is sitting here in this interaction with the media saying in one breath that, we were playing well enough defensively. We just need to score more points. Well, you do that and you improve your spacing by putting Reed Shepherd out there. And what you lose defensively, yes, you have a target on the floor for them to go after. But you can do things around that to help Reed Shepherd. You can hide him on guys. You can do whatever. What you're losing defensively by playing Reed Shepherd does not dwarf what your defense is going to, or what your offense is going to be able to do. It's going to get better with him out there is what I'm saying. So it's worth the trade-off. And the fact that he's unwilling and stubborn to not even adjust and maybe give Reed Shepherd some more time on the floor is incredible to me. So maybe in the next game, that's going to change. Maybe when they go back home, they'll give him some more minutes and he'll start to do it. But Udoka has proven over the course of a lengthy coaching career now that he can be pretty stubborn when it comes to these sort of things. And so you do wonder player props if we're talking about unders for Reed Shepherd moving forward, because if he's only going to get 10 minutes a game, I'm going to be really interested to see how he handles him, because at this point, he's kind of their only hope to an extent. Not that he's this crazy great player. He's just a floor spacer that gives them something on offense that they desperately need.
So with LA as a pretty decent dog in the series going up 2-0, do they mess this up? Or is the minus 135 cheap and we should be betting them to win the series now?
I don't know if it's minus 135 is cheap. I think it's just, hey, maybe from a side perspective, we can just ride them out. Okay. If we're talking about it ATS-wise. If you look ahead to Game 3, Houston right now is a 5.5-point favorite. Total's 105.5. Now, interestingly enough, in some spots, I'm looking at 7.5 as a more predominant number, so we'll use that. The one I'm looking at is like juice minus 170, so I'm looking at the wrong number. So 7.5 for Game 3. This is interesting because there's clearly been kind of an adjustment here, Stormy. They were laying 6 yesterday in Los Angeles, and they lost the game outright. And now here we are back in Houston, and this should be a game which should be a little bit higher. If you were a 6-point favorite on the road, and we're talking about the postseason, we had this conversation the other day, you weren't here, where home court has been much more important in the NBA playoffs. Way more important. You can make the argument it's worth about 3.5-ish points, maybe even 4, considering how strong home performances have been since we went back to 2022, looking at the average net rating for teams at home in the NBA postseason. And actually, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong number here. I'm looking at 10 for the Game 3, excuse me. So that makes a little bit more sense. I apologize. My screen was on the first half line still. Whole point here being is that should you look at Houston down 2-0 going back home, because a lot of people will play that, but I think a lot of this is going to be very much in this number. It's probably going to get baked up a little bit more as you move forward, and that is going to be something that is worth, I think, potentially playing against with the Lakers. I think they've proven that the gap between these two teams is much tighter and that they shouldn't be priced in this sense, especially because I think it's more about the Rockets being a lot shorter in terms of their power rating as opposed to the Lakers being a little bit higher.
Okay, 9.5 on DraftKings is what I'm seeing right now. Total 205.5.
Sorry, I was all over the place. I was reading first half lines.
All good. It happens. Let's look ahead to a little bit more of this Trailblazers Spurs series, because we have a significant development with everything that happened with Victor Wembanyama last night. That series now tied at 1 as the Trailblazers rally late. They're down double digits in the fourth quarter, even still without Victor Wembanyama. You thought that maybe they were just still going to be able to pull it off even without their top player and the new reigning defensive player of the year. And yet 106-103 final. Blazers win as an 11.5-point dog. And Victor Wembanyama early in the second quarter goes down with, he's knocked out cold for a second. It looks like scary. In the concussion protocol, hit his head hard on the floor. According to the league, there's a 48-hour league mandated recovery period. Beyond that, need doctor approval after that. And so I know a lot of the conversation is looking ahead to game 3 being on Friday. That would be, a 72-hour window. Could he potentially be available there? Are you thinking that way after what you saw, though?
I mean, I'm not a doctor. I have no idea what they're going to do in terms of his time missed. I just think that we know that the next 48 hours he's shelved, and then we'll see if he can make his way back. I also think it's the postseason, and I think at times these sort of things get skirted a bit at high leverage situations, and I think this is probably one of those where they'll probably do everything possible to get this done quickly for Victor Wembanyama. But it's not just him. Remember, Harrison Barnes went down with an injury at one point. Dylan Harper got dinged up yesterday. Worth pointing out in post-game media availability on Harrison Barnes, head coach Mitch Johnson said, I think he's going to be okay. I think it was more of wind. I didn't get the full messaging, but I couldn't tell if he was holding his hand or his chest. Said he needed to sub. Both are expected to play in game 3, so we'll see if that's it. But look, I think San Antonio's up against it from the standpoint of there's not the same rim protection with Victor Wembanyama out there. Mm-hmm. And I had brought this up yesterday when we talked about this game. The Spurs are not a great three-point shooting team. They, for the season, in the regular season, shot 35.9% from beyond the arc, so just under 60 or 36%, obviously. In game 1, they shot over 42%, and they get a big win. In game 2, that plummeted in a very big way. And so Portland's going to feel comfortable just playing off these shooters again and saying, you're not going to beat us from here. We're going to clog the paint now, and we'll see if you can beat us without your best player if he's not going to be available for game 3. I think the Spurs are not in danger, but, I mean, if he's going to miss 2 games in this series, you're definitely stretching your collar out a little bit here because you're going on the road against a team that has, at the very least, the athletes to defend you, I think, at a pretty decent level.
Your favorite as high as yesterday by 12.5. Going into that game coming up on Friday, just 1.5. Yep. It's obviously you see the impact, and I know it's home road. It's a different situation there, but significant. And now when you look at the series numbers, San Antonio closed a minus 2,000 favorite for the set prior to game 1. Still a huge prohibitive favorite, but minus 550, that's been cut in half now as well.
Yeah. I mean, minus 550 would tell me the market thinks he's going to come back at some point, maybe on the closer end of that timeline. But, I mean, again, if it's bad, he could be out all the way through a potential game 7. And I say potential is, what if the Trailblazers don't need it?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the 76ers, so they win 111-97 against Boston, despite closing 13.5-point dogs. Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, awesome, combined for 59 points, 11 made threes. Can Philly push this thing out, JVT, another game and get Joel Embiid back?
I don't know. This is going to be this is a lot of fun. Now, a lot was made yesterday of the way the Boston was playing defensively, played a ton of drop coverage. They were allowing these guys to come off screen and hit open looks. And as has been pointed out by some, they did have some adjustments off there. They had their centers kind of come up at the level a little bit more. They had some help off some other guys as well. But it just really wasn't really working. So you do wonder if Joe Mazzulla is going to change the way he plays defensively a little bit here with some of his bigs and what that means for Philly. But if they're going to be allowed to step into a lot of these open jumpers, and if you're going to be able to hit these, Philly's going to make this a pretty interesting series. It just goes back to something, I think you were here for this. Yeah, we talked about this last week. I just feel like Boston is being priced as this juggernaut in the Eastern Conference. I think they're a little bit more flawed than we give them credit for, especially because this was supposed to be the gap year. They're a little stripped down, especially at the center position, and I think we saw a little bit of that yesterday. I'm not saying that they're in danger of losing this series, but to your point, if they go back home, Philly, steal another one and go up 2-1, at the very least, you're extending this out for the chance that Joel Embiid comes back to help you out.
Boston, a 7.5-point road favorite in Game 3 coming up. That's one of 4 series in the NBA now, tied at 1 here in the early going. Okay, we got to step aside still. An ESPN doubleheader with 2 more NBA playoff games to come today. We've got a lot of NFL draft talk ahead. That's where we will go next, as we are just around 24 hours away from the draft beginning in Pittsburgh. Stay with us.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Oh man, we're having some fun. The NBA and NHL postseason rolling on. The sports calendar never stops. And with that, the Sharp Plays is covering it all. And they've been winning for 15 straight years. All of it documented, logs posted publicly at sharpplays.com. That kind of transparency, we know, rare in this industry. When the Sharp Plays moves, the sports books take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel, they find value before the numbers shift. Start winning today at sharpplays.com. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, rolling along here on a Wednesday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And The NFL draft, JVT, is officially upon us. Very excited for tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Although at the top of the draft, number 1 overall pick, not a whole lot of intrigue there. Fernando Mendoza.
There's intrigue.
There is?
Did you see his first pitch?
So, okay, I have seen the clip going around, but I haven't watched it. I've been too knee-deep in hockey. Was it awesome? Was it 50 Cent-esque? How did it go?
I would just say that I would very much think about what I want to do with the first overall pick if I were the Las Vegas Raiders.
Is bad.
I mean, for a guy that's supposed to be a first overall selection at quarterback, you tell me how he's got a crow hop and then just kind of throw it up in the air and just, I don't know.
Okay.
He lollipopped
All
it.
right. That's a little bit dramatic.
I drop him to the second round, to be quite honest with you, after that.
I was thinking it was going to be like line drive, tried to throw it as hard as he could.
That's what he should have been. I think this shows a lack of mettle, a lack of determination.
I think that he's
going to be a Raider. I think that he's got to show a little bit more onion.
He understands what's about to happen for him, and he's not risking anything about that shoulder or arm.
I mean, come on now. It's a pitch. It's 66 feet. Just
not worth it. Not worth it.
Apparently not being the first overall pick worth it either, because I would definitely have him off my board after that.
Minus 20,000. So, the odds didn't move afterwards for reference.
No, it was 20,000. It was 20,001, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Where? Where'd you see that? That said, while there's no intrigue at number 1, there is a lot of intrigue and conversation around who's going to be the number 2 overall selection in this draft. And we have seen the odds shifting back and forth, seesawing between Arvell Reese and David Bailey. Each of them at one point has been out to as high as minus 250. In our rundown earlier today, you wrote, and thank you for putting the time code down, at 8:45 Pacific time this morning, it was David Bailey, a minus 145 odds on favorite. We are now at 11:32 a.m. Pacific, and Arvell Reese is a minus 145 odds on favorite. I was looking through Twitter this morning, and I saw Todd Furman go, I'm not sure if the Jets have done an incredible job of not letting the pick leak, or the front office just has no clue who they're taking.
Yeah. I mean, or it's neither, and nobody has any idea what they're actually doing, and so it's just bloviating talking heads doing what they usually do at this time, which is wildly guessing and speculating on what the selection is going to be with no backing whatsoever in terms of factual data. How about that?
So, sports media in 2026?
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of this, though, back and forth, I know has, I don't want to say centered around Todd McShay, but it feels like it has. Yeah. You want to run through the timeline here? All
right, so this is tweeted out. This is brilliant. April 15th from Todd McShay. Quote, now we're back to David Bailey, and it's close to a foregone conclusion in NFL circles, so Bailey being the second overall pick. April 16th, if I had to put my own money on it right now, it would be heavily on David Bailey. The next day, April 17th, I sent out a text, and the answer I got back was we canceled the meeting with David Bailey, so I sent a follow-up text asking what the deal is. Crickets. April 18th, flying to L.A. early tomorrow morning, I'm going to bed believing Arvell Reese is the Jets' pick at number 2. April 19th. Last Sunday, I said I wasn't decided. Now here's my information. It's Arvell Reese at number 2. All right, cool. We've settled in. April 21st. I'm now of the belief, New York views, Bailey, a proven pass rusher, as a safer pick than Reese.
Come on, man. Does he even know what he's doing?
I don't know. Now, for what it's worth, from Peter Schrager in his latest mock that came up, I think, this morning or late yesterday, quote, I've had Bailey going to the Jets for the past month, and I have no further intel telling me any differently. Ohio State's Arvell Reese is a great player, but I'm sticking with Bailey. New York needs his instant production for its lackluster pass rush.
And he also has Arvell Reese sliding to 5, which I just pulled up Matt Euman's mock draft 1.0 as well, and he has Arvell Reese 2 to the Jets and David Bailey 5 to the Giants. So It's just, this is one of those things where nobody knows anything, and it's going to be, but now you have reached an opportunity on either one of these players where you could have gotten a decent plus money price. Yeah. So if you laid something, that's on you for not getting the better opportunity of a number. But when all is said and done, as you read the tea leaves, do you think it's more Bailey?
No, I mean, I'm honestly going to say I don't know. What I think is more interesting about this conversation right now is, Mitch and I actually talked about this on Pod of the Futures the other day. Generally with these drafts, Stormy, the line moves that are the most accurate are the ones that happen closer to draft time. If one that happens a month ago, that doesn't matter. It's not based on anything. You have no idea what's going to happen. But generally, the closer you get to the NFL draft, and we see it all the time, especially the moves the day before or the day of, those generally have a lot of accuracy and weight to them. So, to that point, as you said today, this morning when I put it in the rundown, when you had, who was it favored? Bailey?
Yep.
Now that we're at the other direction, maybe we can actually put some stock in. Maybe it's not going to be Bailey, and then, in fact, it is Arvell Reese that's going to go with the second overall pick only because this line move is happening right now. We'll see if that actually holds some water or if it just flips back the other way. But I think this is more interesting because when we talk about these stupid things all the time, a lot of people like to view the betting market as this holier-than-thou entity that is never wrong. This has, similar to the awards that we talk about all the time, has no clue what's going on. We've seen this flip back and forth 1,000 times. So which of these line moves is ultimately going to be the accurate one? And if this is it, where now we finally flip back in the other direction, and that this is actually just going to be right where we expected, which is Reese to go number 2 the entire time.
What's going to happen with Jeremiah Love? Is he going to go 3 to the Arizona Cardinals?
Yes and no. The Cardinals would take Jeremiah Love if they can't trade back. That's according to multiple reports. Daniel Jeremiah had some late intel. This has kind of been what everybody's been echoing. The Titans are pretty interesting because the Titans will be looking at an edge rusher or a wide receiver. So for a little bit there, Love had been tied to them. So you do wonder if the Cardinals find a draft or a trade candidate, what if Love doesn't go there? Would the Titans still look in that direction, or would they be tied to Love, which is one of the guys earlier? But according to Jeremiah, Titans will be looking at an edge rusher or a wide receiver. So that could be one of the Reese and or Bailey that doesn't end up going at number 2. Maybe they slip to the Titans at number 4 and they grab them, whoever that's going to be. Because I would expect that you're not going to go wide receiver that high with that pick, right? If you're the Tennessee Titans. So edge rusher is a little bit more of a high-impact premium position, worth a selection there if you believe that the guy that is available is the one that is worth changing things for you. But the Cardinals, seems like everything is dependent on whether or not they want to trade out of that spot, which is, I told Tim this the other day. It seems so weird to me that the Cardinals apparently love Jeremiah Love, but also understand that his position is not important enough to take at 3, so they're trying to trade back, but also would just take him if he's there. Those are those thought processes don't really jive that much.
I know, at least from what I've read and how Jeremiah Love was discussed from a draft standpoint throughout the course of this college football season, that there is a large belief that he is just flat out the best player that is in this draft. Yeah. And so if you want to have the opportunity to have that player and a guy who, from everything that I've heard in conversations with Marcus Freeman and other people, that he has every intangible you could want to. So it's not just the on-field production, but everything that he brings with that as well. If he is that guy, then why not take a shot with him at 3?
Yep. These last couple of minutes, I wanted to point out something that Jeremiah wrote about in his intel, which I thought was really interesting. So a lot of people in all of these, I would challenge you by the end of the show to find me a mock draft that doesn't have the Arizona Cardinals trading back into the first round to go and get Ty Simpson. Okay. Peter Schrager's latest mock draft had it. Matt Euman's had it in his mock draft. That is like the pick. That is the pick du jour. Cardinals are trading back into the first round. As Peter Schrager put, the stupid extra year of control. Again, Tyler Shuck and the Saints, they're screwed. There's no way they can keep him because they don't have that extra year of control. But I point this out because this is from Jeremiah's Intel article. The Rams have been connected to Simpson in league circles for a while now. It's an open secret that they like him. When they still had the number 29 pick, they seemed like the team to watch for Simpson. But since number 13, because remember they traded that 29th pick away, feels too soon to take him, that talk has quieted down. Now many wonder if Simpson could tumble out of the first round entirely. So what I find interesting...
if the Cardinals are trading up, then...
Right, but I think to your point, you were going there, you almost got there, which is the Cardinals have been the team you've been hearing about this whole time. But if you're reading between the lines of Jeremiah's intel here, it's the Rams who are the team
in the second round
that were going to be the guy to get him. But since they don't have that 29th pick now, there are many who believe that he might slip out. So where's the connection to the Cardinals? If Jeremiah is correct with what he's writing about here, which I find pretty interesting.
So obviously this number for the over 1.5 quarterbacks has shifted a handful of times. It's had its own swings. Currently, the over is minus 190. The under is plus 145. So it's back to near what that original price was when we first discussed it. You taking a bite before we're at the 24 hours?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah, this is something that has been added. We're going to have best bets later, but this is, you got to do it every single year. Also wanted to point out too, Jeremiah said he's predicting at least 7 and as many as 10 offensive linemen getting picked in the first round. So, and
that is at 7.5. It's juiced pretty heavily. I think it's like $3, right?
Yeah.
But if you think that that's correct, and you could get potentially 10,
it's worth noting like that too, right? His projection is 7, which is under that number.
Correct.
To 10 though. So maybe more often than not, he thinks that you're going to go 8, 9, 10. So we'll see if that ultimately ends up happening. But worth pointing out that he thinks a lot of offensive linemen are going to go, and as he pointed out, late in the round as well, because he thinks there's a lot of teams that are going to make a run in offensive linemen.
Okay, we got to step aside here on Money Moves. When we come back, though, boy, oh boy, from bad to worse for the Metropolitans. Check in somebody on our boy Dave Ross right now. We'll talk a little Major League Baseball and 2 games tonight in the NBA. We need to hear your picks. We need to hear your opinion on what we have coming up later on. So stick around. More Money Moves after this on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Listen, we've all got a group chat full of hot takes. I know you do. And if you do with all your buddies, Cut might be right for you. It's a social betting platform that lets you bet directly against all your friends and other users on pretty much anything: sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets. And every bet's fully customizable and pre-funded, so no chasing somebody down if they lose. And unlike traditional betting apps as well, Cut actually gives you cash back on every single bet you make, even against your friends. Now you can get a 20% deposit bonus on your first deposit when you use our promo code VSIN. That's VSIN. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com, or download Cut in the App Store. And again, use that promo code VSIN. So the Mets were up 3-0 after 3 yesterday, JVT, against the Twins. Nolan McLean, 10 strikeouts, played really well for a good chunk of this game. And then again, they could not hold on. 12 straight losses for the Mets. They lose 5-3. I did like Twins social media trolling them a little bit, though. Things you can get in a dozen: eggs, roses, Mets losses. Pretty clever. What I'm not so thrilled with, which I'm sure you'll not be surprised by at all. Did you see FanDuel gave like a full bonus bet reimbursement for Mets moneyline bettors?
Oh, really? Because they lost?
Yep.
I'm not as up in arms about this as you are for the most part, the refund culture.
It's just out of hand, in my opinion.
What I think is dumb is the people who beg for it once it goes down. Like Victor Wembanyama
sure.
the other day, yesterday. You saw a lot of that, but,
Because of course you did.
I'm a man of the people.
Yeah, here's the tweet. The
don't
Mets,
pay for the insurance.
The Mets lost again, but you're still a winner. We're paying out all pre-live Mets moneyline wagers and bonus bets. Credits issued within 24 hours. It is the longest losing streak for the franchise now since 2002. Fun fact, no team that's lost this many consecutive games at any point in the season has gone on to make the playoffs. So,
They
not looking good.
Also dusted off the Hawk Tua chick, and that did not work out.
Yeah, what
either.
was that about?
Well, so if I remember, now I don't think these are tied simultaneously. I have to look this up, but I believe she was near the beginning of that ridiculous run they went on last year. If you remember, there was the Grimace moment. Do you remember Grimace? Mm-hmm. And then the winning streak that they were on and whatnot. So I think she was tied into that somehow. And so maybe there was some desperation to try to get some of that magic back. But you can't do it 2 times. Get it?
I would not trust her to bring back the magic, but maybe Juan Soto can, as he returns off the IL today, or is expected to.
Why not?
Neither here nor there.
Okay. I'm just wondering. I don't know.
I'm going to leave that one.
Why is she famous anyway?
I'm going to leave that one. Looking toward today, though, I know there are a handful of games that you are interested in. I don't think that was one of them, but I did just want to make sure we let that note be aware that Juan Soto is apparently back, especially with how anemic their offense has been. Can he help provide a little bit of an uptick there? But looking toward today, your beloved Anaheim Angels and beloved Soriano are going at it today against the Toronto Blue Jays. Anything stand out to you?
Well, it's just Jose Soriano is what stands out to you, among other things. But this is really about the pricing in which Soriano has been met with now that he has been pitching as well as he has. For those who don't remember off the top of their heads, Jose Soriano marches into this contest against the Toronto Blue Jays, get this, with a 0.28 ERA. My man has been wheeling and dealing, absolutely crushed your Padres on Friday night last week.
Need to do that.
Couldn't even do anything against them. Looked like a bunch of little leaguers out there. Over the course of 32 2/3, his strikeout rate is insane. He struck out just under a third of the batters he's faced up to this point. standpoint. Underlying metrics are great too, Stormy. I mean, you look at the fielding independent of 235, expected at 283. Really nothing in there that would tell you that he's at least going to regress to the point where he's going to get walloped. Hard contact numbers are pretty solid. And I mean, I shouldn't even say pretty solid, well above average. Only 30% of the balls that have been hit against him have an exit velocity of over 95 miles an hour. Barrel rate, 10.3%. He's only given up 7 so far. He's been untouchable with the adjustments that he's made. The question you now have to start to ask yourself is, when they were playing the Padres on Friday, were you here on Friday? Yeah, you were here. They were $1.26, if I remember correctly. Is one of the best bets that we recapped from over the weekend. That was against San Diego. Now here we are, and in that start, I'm saying Soriano was $1.26. Now we see the adjustment. Right now we see this open up at $1.60 here at Circa. Now down to minus 143, but at the very least, Soriano is starting to get priced as a pitcher of his caliber, and maybe it's time to either jump off the train or maybe go in the other direction and start to bet against him, not because you expect some sort of regression, but just from a pricing standpoint with that bullpen behind him, because remember, we're talking about full game money line here, that maybe it's worth going against Soriano in some of these instances only because of the way that he's getting priced. And how about this? For the game, for the first 5, you're talking about $1.80, $1.90, depending on where you shop. He is being priced, and I think rightfully so. Now I think the question is, what do you want to do with him? And I think it might be trying to jump off the train or maybe give the other team a shot, given the pricing you're getting on the other side.
Okay. Fortunately for my pod squad, they did bounce back after the aforementioned loss to the Angels.
Talk about the series.
3 straight since. 11 of their last 12 as well, including game 1 of this set with the Colorado Rockies. Game 2 today. Padres significant favorites here once again, minus 163 on the money line on the road. Rockies, Tomoyuki Shigano on the hill against Walker Buehler. Run total high, as it tends to be up there in the altitude, sitting at 12. Where are you going here?
I'm kind of waiting for Tomoyuki Sagano to get got here at some point. So let's go back to last year. Over the course of 157 innings, Sagano was not particularly great. Strikeout numbers weren't awesome. Command was fine. Had some problems with some home runs. 4.64 ERA, 5.36 fielding independent, pretty below average pitcher. So far this year, he's been improved, not by much, but still a 3.92 ERA over the course of 4 starts and 20 2/3. But look at those underlying metrics: 7.71 expected ERA, a 5.56 fielding independent for Sagano. You look at some of the other things that would tell the story of why you would be, or why those numbers are the way they are. Over 48% of the balls that are batted against him have an exit velocity of 95 miles an hour. He's got a barrel rate allowed of 20%. Nearly a quarter, we'll round up just to sound more dramatic, nearly a quarter of them are barrels. That's insane, the contact that he's given up. And yet, for the most part, he's kind of gotten away with it. And you would think now, against an adequate lineup, we'll call it, in the San Diego Padres, coming off of a game in which he finally got exposed by the Los Angeles Dodgers, went out there 4 innings, gave up 5 earned runs, got taken deep, struck out 3, walked 2. I think that maybe we're starting to see the downward turn for Sugano, and maybe it start to try to play against him here. Minus 1.5, you can find at some spots. That's the problem, is it's like minus 108, somewhere in that range. So maybe you're paying a pretty hefty price, but I really want to try to take my shot. Maybe the better angle is a team total over for the San Diego Padres, specifically a team total in the first 5 to look at, just specifically isolating going against Sugano with this Padres lineup. Because Walker Buehler, he's got underlying numbers that would tell you he deserves better. 4.58 ERA, 3.03 fielding independent. But pitching in Colorado, I don't know if I want to try to catch that falling knife in a ballpark like this, where I really could just isolate Padres against Sugano and go from there. So first 5 team total for the Padres, or a team total for the game for the Padres, might be worth looking at today.
Yeah, weird game yesterday and a 1-0 shutout, but the expectation is that is not something that is going to continue, as you mentioned, in this ballpark. Can you also just admit the Padres are good?
I think Mason Miller's really good. We talked about that on Pot of the Future as well.
Okay.
My man.
You got to get us some clips. Why aren't we playing clips?
That's why it's fault. I didn't want to say that, but
fault.
I mean, he came out here and was showing me clips of everything being all off, and the audio is terrible, and I don't know. It sounds like a producer thing, not me. Well, you're the one that sets everything up, though, right? Incorrect. I might have this week, but usually... Love that. Usually it's Wyatt. It is his fault. One more we can hit on here real quickly. A's, Mariners, Logan Gilbert, and Seattle, minus 192 money line home favorites here. Run total 7.5. I just wanted to point this out. I didn't have anything insanely strong. This is a big series, though. Athletics have been playing extremely well, but you do just like when you see... some of these big prices, but some of the line moves into them. Seattle opens up a $1.90 favorite here at Circa on the overnight. Kind of slowly gets whittled down, and we're at like a $1.75. You see the $1.92 over there at DraftKings here. But the pitching matchup is what this is worth pointing out here. Logan Gilbert off to a subpar start by his standards. 4.03 ERA over 29 innings pitched so far. Savali, on the other end, has been pitching pretty well, but the A's have been playing some pretty good baseball. You do wonder if they can get to Gilbert, but I think that Gilbert's got some good stuff coming. And while you see the starting matchup and you think that, well, why is he such a big favorite? 4.03 ERA, but a fielding independent of 290. He's getting unlucky on balls in play. He's not giving up like a ton of hard contact either, outside or barrels, some hard contact, but none of the barrels that he's allowed have been damaging or at a high rate. So wonder if Gilbert's going to have some of these opportunities, despite the aversion to some big pricing for some bettors, to really start to lock in here. His last 3 starts, he's pitched at least 5 innings, given up 2 or fewer earned runs. He's really starting to settle in. 14 strikeouts over his last 2 starts has really started to look like a guy that's worth being priced like this.
Okay. Lots of games still to come later on today. We do have one that's already gone final, though. The Marlins closed out a win 4-1 over the St. Louis Cardinals today. We are in action. This game's moving fast, by the way, in Baltimore, Kansas City. We're already into the 4th inning here. Baltimore up 2-1 there. 2-0 advantage for the Houston Astros in Cleveland, and then 5-1 Rays in the 7th right now against the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll keep tabs on these as we go.
Shout out to Spence, who tweeted in. We were talking about this because Yordan Alvarez has been off to such a hot start, but his team might have a losing record. So when can you win MVP despite your team having a losing record? Mike Trout did it when the Angels won only 74 games back in about 2017. Spence checks in and says the Cubs in 1987 lost 85 games. Andre Dawson won MVP that year.
Okay. We got to step aside. When we come back, we'll get back into a little bit of our NFL draft conversation. Excited to have Charlotte Carroll stop by. She covers the Giants closely for the Athletics. They have 2 picks in the top 10. What might they do with them? And then what's the fallout as well of the Dexter Lawrence trade? We'll discuss it all when we return on Money Moves.